Okay, the entrance, perhaps ridiculous. Nevertheless, I don't have a remote control. I am your instructor, Nathan Franklin, and we'll just get right to it. The task at hand is our short seminar papers. So the goal that I had for the first week is to destabilize a number of things, particularly through Heidegger, what we thought thinking was. And I think it was appropriate to start with him and his immediate claim, as you are well aware, that we have not been thinking. And so part of the nature of this course is to withdraw. And it is oftentimes difficult because we can cling to things that provide us some sort of stability. And the stability can be problematic. But so the crucial thing is the most thought-provoking formula. And you obviously saw it in Badiou, Zizek, where he was able to create a space for the reader to kind of look and hear Beethoven differently, especially with this notion of the empty signifier and how an empty signifier, this sign, can traverse contexts, travel, and that interesting notation about the Cultural Revolution, how Mao was completely anti-European, and yet by virtue of the Ode to Joy being an empty signifier, he could re-articulate its meaning, especially as it relates to the peasants in China. So that type of thinking and analysis is basically what I wanted to demonstrate to you, like this most thought-provoking formula. And on another note, you may hear my son weep. So this is completely unedited and raw, but true filmmaking at its best. So when you get to noise, now it is extra credit, of course, but you want to think of anarchy without anarchism. It's an interesting detail, but his argument is pretty interesting. So I'll let you toy around with that. But when it comes to our short seminar papers, our reading should have provoked something. So you find a particular social problem, things you probably want to avoid simply because they've been written about extensively and students tend to rely on, like abortion. I don't want to read abortion papers. I just don't find them interesting, and sorry. So you need to really investigate. I mean, get familiar with what's going on socially, globally in fact. So essentially the globe is open. But if something's going on in your various communities that you think you can use our readers to address whatever problem is going on, then please, by all means. That would be ideal. So you start off with your narrative, just a brief overview of what the problem is. If it's a simple thing in your community as worker exploitation, something along those lines, how can you use our readers to address, our readings that is, to address that issue? So that's ultimately up to you. You can also at the same time, if you can't really find this concrete example or problem, you can be abstract. Perhaps find something in his readings that the authors did not really address as fully as you wanted them to, some kernel, and then it's up to you to go, here's what they presented, perhaps this is a shortcoming, however, they did invite the reader to interact with this particular problem, but I'm going to take it to the next level, so you're more than welcome to do that. So the structure is narrative, right? You're providing a context for your reader of what this problem is. You're basically suggesting to your reader, I have a reason for writing this. Here's why. Okay? Because the audience is skeptical, why am I reading this, etc., etc. And your method, it's a fancy scientific word, but it's used nevertheless, is how are you going to address this? What are you going to do? Now each discipline, academic discipline, has a variety of methods. In this particular context, it's our readings. And you can use more than one author. And this section is particularly difficult in the sense that, so you open up with your narrative, you point and identify a problem for your audience. Your method is for you to ground your audience in this lit review. A lit review is a review of the readings. Okay? You need to be concrete, meaning you need to quote from our authors. Okay? We will work our way. By the end of the semester, I hope, it's my plan for us to be really comfortable in integrating secondary sources into our compositions. So there's our method, right? This is how or who I'm going to use to address the problem. Analysis is the implications. It's what I stated, what happens when you use Badiou against your problem? Did it change? And the consequences of this change, etc. Analysis is difficult and it requires practice. So narrative, a brief overview, providing a context of the problem for your audience so that you can rhetorically seduce them into thinking, okay, I want to continue reading. And then what happens is they may have this expectation of a problem, but when you use perhaps Zizek, Badiou, Noyes, Heidegger, it alters, it functions more as a seduction for your audience to continue reading. So your lit review functions as that, and also as an authoritative gesture. Okay? And many of you have touched upon some very insightful things, so I'm quite pleased with that. So hopefully this video lecture helps to a certain degree. So narrative, an overview of your problem for your reader, a context, some concrete examples, what is the problem, etc., etc. Your method, your lit review, who are you using to address the problem, and then analysis. It's a combination of your lit review, so you're kind of revisiting your narrative, okay, and taking things apart. Analysis is not bringing things together, it's taking things apart. Okay, so we'll work on composing an effective piece of writing this week. Okay, so sorry if this is cheesy, but nevertheless, thank you very much.